Hey, soldiers, conspicuous consumerism. We have to destroy it. It has been programmed into the fabric of the middle class and poor to make us believe that the acquisition of liabilities and the affectations of wealth are what we need to pursue. And this programming really discourages most Americans from acquiring income producing assets. And the reason for that is because this system wants to keep most Americans trapped in a cycle of go to work for 30 years, roughly, okay, if you can make it. And that 30 years probably be at 5 or 6 different jobs. Then you die. And your children and your grandchildren start that whole cycle all over again. They never break free because conspicuous consumerism, the American and Western marketing machine, has got a lot of Americans believing that the accoutrements of wealth, okay, those things that they see celebrities wear, drive, or use, are what they should pursue. When in fact, these things are by and large liabilities that are going to take money not only out of your pocket now, but they're going to steal your financial future. Now look, this is happening in real time. The bottom 50% of Americans only own 6% of the assets in this country. All right, that's a problem. That's something that we have to reverse. We have to emphasize ownership of assets. No one on the street is going to see you driving around in your Roth IRA. Okay? No one, no cousins or no people you graduated high school with are going to look at, your cash value in an insurance policy and say, wow, as they might in a house that you purchased and is overpriced. And now you're sitting in there and you're house poor and not able to purchase assets because you're just trying to make the mortgage, right? We've got to be smarter. Now look, here is proofs in the pudding. America's poorest only own 6% of the assets. The poorest 50% of Americans own just 5.9% of the country's total assets as of the second quarter of 2023. This is according to the Federal Reserve System. All right. So all the data is there. If you're willing to look at it, and do your research and really delve into what's actually going on, the data's there. But you do have to search for it. They're not going to tell you this on network television. They're not going to tell you this on late night with whatever fool is popular right now. I don't have cable TV. I don't watch that crap. They're not going to tell you this on Fox or CNN. All right. The poorest people in America are that way because they don't own any assets. Now, Statista I'm sure you might be familiar with that site. They do a lot of statistical based research and they put it in a graphical form, makes it easy to understand. Representative over there by the name of Ann Fleck has demonstrated in a chart the share of wealth as total assets remained at a low 5.9% through the first 2 quarters of this year, having seen a downtick from 6% at the end of 2022. Now, why was 2022 higher? Well, because a lot of Americans had surplus money that they did the right thing with and put up in some kind of savings or investment. But as inflation started to spike, what did we see? We saw people have to put that money into play in order to survive. Yet and still, we're still spending money like crazy. We spent $2 trillion in 4 months. $2 trillion in 4 months. This is getting scary and beyond irresponsible. All right, so since 1989, the peak share of assets held by the bottom 50% was in the second quarter and third quarter of 1995. That's when it had a high water mark. It reached 8.7% then. So not even approaching 10%, really. By contrast, data shows that the top 0.1%, okay? The top 0.1%, 99.9th to 100 wealth percentiles of the U.S. held 11% of total assets in the second quarter of 2023, almost double that of the lowest 50%. Look, there's no mystery here. It's no coincidence that the wealthiest own more assets. All right? I see so many Corvettes. They must have some kind of special on Corvette financing, because I see a lot of these Corvettes on the road. And believe me, they are sweet cars. I mean, they really, really look good. But these cars are extremely expensive. And I'm having trouble believing that all of these Corvettes are owned by folk who are comfortably paying for these cars and also able to sink a lot of money into asset acquisition. Remember, an asset is something that's going to appreciate in value and or kick off an income as well. Assets also allow you to maintain your purchasing power. Gold, for example, is an asset that does that. The example I always give is King Tut. If we reanimated him and gave him back all of his gold, he would be as wealthy as he was the day he died. He'd be able to purchase as much stuff, okay, if we gave him back his gold. It's not going to make him richer than he was, because gold doesn't act like that. Gold is a wealth preservation mechanism and asset. So all of the asset classes perform a different function, but at the end of the day, those functions culminate in securing your financial position. That is why you have to acquire them. Now, a Corvette, that in most cases is just going to be a liability, something that is not only going to take money out of your pocket, but it's going to depreciate in value. So you're going to be stuck with a payment that corresponds to a value that's up here. And you're going to do that for however long the term is, 4 years, 5 years, whatever. All the while, the value of the material item is dropping. So your payments stay up here, but the value goes down here, okay? And eventually off screen. So, yeah, most people in America need a car. But think of it as what it is. A to B transportation. Sure, you want to have some creature comforts in it. I get it, especially if you have a long commute. But do you want to sacrifice your future for it? All right. Same thing with a house. I live in the smallest house in our development, my wife and I. Okay. We don't have a gargantuan house. I don't begrudge anyone who does, because if you got a big family, hey, maybe it works for you. But when you're thinking about housing, understand this. The house you live in, yes, I know popular opinion says it's not an asset. It is. It's an asset on more than one level. It's an asset from a financial standpoint and an emotional standpoint. Anytime that thing's appreciating and giving you the wherewithal to go out and maybe take equity out of it to improve the property, sell it one day, maybe rent it out one day. Yeah, that's an asset, okay? You just also happen to live in that asset. You just don't want to put yourself in a position where you're putting outsized amounts of money into your personal property, into your personal real estate where you reside. Because remember, in order to unlock any of that value, you need to either sell it, you need to rent it out, or you need to get some type of equity pulled out of it in the form of a loan. All of those situations rely on another party saying, yeah, I'll rent it. Yeah, I'll buy it. Or yeah, we're the bank, will loan you the money based on the equity. Okay, so we've done really detailed examinations of all of the asset classes. We've got paper, which is stocks, bonds, mutual funds, insurance policies. We've got real estate, which is a wonderful asset because you can actually leverage, okay, you can control $100,000 in real estate for 20 grand, okay? You can control a large amount of value in real estate for a small commitment, for a commitment that equals a fraction of the total value of the property, okay? Wonderful ability there to leverage. So you got real estate, you got paper, you've got your own business, Okay, if you go out there and you acquire your own business, that is certainly an asset that will hopefully appreciate if well managed and kick off an income. That's the whole point, right? So you've got those. And then, of course, you also have commodities like gold, oil, things like that. All right, so reject conspicuous consumerism. This is the mission of the Soldiers of Finance. We have to spread this message to our friends and family, and it's not going to be easy because we're up against the programming. And the programming is large and powerful, and it's been out there forever. We talked about Edward Bernays, the father of marketing, modern marketing, and how he melded psychology in there with marketing. So we're dealing with opposing really powerful forces, but we've got to do it if we want to get more assets in the hands of people who are out there working their butts off every single day. And then at the end of the day, they realize, hey, what was it all for? Okay, that Corvette I had that, I sold that years ago. Who knows where that is? But you will know where your assets are because you'll be living off of them and preparing to pass them on to future generations and to organizations you care about, building a true legacy. All right, guys, check out this video. It's going to talk to you about some more things you can do to prepare yourself financially and stay on the road to financial freedom and independence. Guys, I'll talk to you soon.